Hello, everybody. Welcome to, we have a couple things going on. One of them is the group call for today, obviously, with all of you that are here with us in this moment, joining us for that. And we also have, this is going to be part of my 33 days series as well that I'm doing. This will be day 13, so we're also going to share it that way. And also to those of you who will listen to this later as a recording, a shared group call. Welcome to you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Those multi-layered sharings today. So I think that was the main thing I was going to say as the introduction.
Okay. Yes, and just a couple of announcements for everyone. And also, as Jelelle said, a big greeting to those who are listening by recording, and some who have paid to be on the call but wanted to receive the full recording. So welcome to you, and thank you each one for being here. Next Sunday, not next Sunday, but our next group call is next month, February the 11th, and it'll be the same time also on a Sunday.
It's actually, yeah, that's new. It'll be on a Sunday.
Oh, it's new. It'll be on Sunday.
Because Rihanna's birthday is on the Saturday, February 10th, so we didn't want to have it on her birthday. So that will be Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's on Facebook already.
Right. So also I want to alert you to our process that we offer free introductory sessions for what is intended to be an ongoing, regularly session space with one of the four of us, myself or Jelelle or Gabriel or Kalayna. And we send you some introductory materials and ask you to feel into that and respond to it. And then there's this opportunity for a free introductory session where you can yet further confirm if this is for you or not. And so we really welcome you to take advantage of that. We'd love to serve you in that. I want to thank you for your donation to be on the call today. And also want to very much welcome any further donation through our Patreon page that you can find on our website. We would love to put your money to ongoing use in the projects and expansions and travels that we have soon planned and expansions. So we don't need your money to feed our belly this month, but boy, could we use your money for the plans that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So,
the energy exchange is wonderful too.
Yeah.
It goes in.
So for today, Jelelle and I are going to be sharing some thoughts for the first portion here. And then we're going to be inviting Gabriel and Kalayna to do that on camera as well. So you'll be hearing from the four of us on the call today. And then we're going to turn the camera off and go into a guided meditation space for about 20, 25 minutes together.
Mm-hmm.
So
it'll be a good one today, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jelelle's got it mapped out, and we're going to be ping-ponging back and forth in the meditation, as well as sharing in the meditation a very powerful poem that Gabriel wrote. That's part of the meditation today.
That Gabriel channeled from the divine, it feels
yes,
like.
Gabriel channeled from Gabriel.
Yes, exactly. So we're actually really honored to include that in our meditations today. I think it will be really powerful.
Yeah, so that the guided meditation portion takes us up to about the first hour mark. The calls are always very close to about 2 hours in duration. At that 1 hour mark is when we open it up to whoever would like to share into the space, into the circle. And at that point, we, as Gabriel mentioned, we make the recording, the public recording. We don't share the personal sharings portion in the public recording, but we do share it with all of you here and those that paid to participate in the call today. So that's the outline for where we're going today. And
onward and upward and inward.
Where are we going beyond this? Jelelle's mapped out some thoughts.
Yeah, you never really know.
No, they can change on the last minute.
Yes. And that's why we don't give specifics about what these calls are going to be, because we really don't know. I literally checked in a couple hours ago just to see what was moving and where the divine wanted to take us, what might fit best with those of you I could feel in my heart or coming to this call, but then also those of you who might listen to this later. So that all the energies kind of come together in this collaborative expression. And the main theme, you know, I've been doing these daily videos for the last 13 days, so that's been interesting. Every morning, normally that, which would be my meditation time, would normally be my time to go inward. I've been going outward for these videos because I need to record them in the early morning in order to upload them by the end of the day. So in doing that, I've kind of been bridging my inner experience with my outer experience. And there's something to that connected to these, but what we're feeling today are the codes that became available to us that are still available. Codes are really information, upgrades, downloads, activations, whatever you want to call them. And this particular month is quite strong with, I was just saying to Raphael, I'm still letting in that there was a supermoon in January 1, and there's going to be another supermoon at the end of this month. So we've got like these two very strong feminine energies going on, bookending the month, like a pair of hips or something. I don't know, there's some analogy in there. I don't have the space right now to feel into that, but I'm sure it's coming. So then in between those, these yin activations, you could call them, is I think a lot of invitation for us to really feel our own metamorphosis process. And I've been thinking about metamorphosis a lot because that's the name of my series. And what I've really come to, one of the videos I shared last week, I think, was about this sense that you could start feeling into your metamorphosis from using the analogy of what a butterfly goes through. And you could feel the caterpillar as your 3D self, as perhaps the version of you that's more connected to birth family or a traditional career or a long-term relationship. And you don't judge the caterpillar, right? It just is what it is. It has, however, the DNA, the potential to become a butterfly. And it's sort of inevitable that eventually it will become one. But it's sort of in its caterpillar stage. At some point, there's the choosing to go into the cocoon, choosing to go into the space of metamorphosis. And the cocoon is such a magical thing because you're put in stillness, but so much is happening. I think it's a beautiful metaphor that way. And I was feeling that that cocoon represents our 4D self, our awakening self and transitional self. And you know, you're in this cocoon, you have to let go of the caterpillar life to go into the cocoon. I have so much fun with this analogy.
Yeah. It's a death and a rebirth.
It's a death and a rebirth.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't all the way die, but for all intents and
it's
purposes.
like in a stasis, right?
Something dies.
Something has to die. The caterpillar can't hang out with the other caterpillars anymore. I mean, there's another metaphor, another that relates to relationships. If you're hanging around with a bunch of caterpillars, that's where you remain, is in that frequency. So at some point going into this cocoon, there's a feminine about that. There's a baking, there's a waiting, there's a stillness, there's a surrender to the process of being in this cocoon, not even knowing what you're going to become, but just knowing.
Busyness just goes.
Yeah, and just knowing that there's something more, that you are something more. And going into the cocoon is scary too. It's like, will I ever come out? What's on the other side? It's not being a caterpillar, so I don't know. So parts are, that you surrender to the process in hopes that something else will come through. And of course, the 5D self, we could call it, the higher self coming into the body, is the butterfly. And I believe that the caterpillar gets lots of sense of it's, you're going to become a butterfly someday. You really are. And that comes, if we use this parallel, it comes to us in dreams, it comes to us in awakening experiences, when we're being with people that elicit that in us, when we're in a sacred union, when you're on calls like this, you get that reflection. Yes, I know you feel like a caterpillar some of the time, or maybe even a lot of the time, but you're not actually a butterfly. So I feel like that's what the divine is saying right now in these codes, is to locate yourself. The meditation that we're going to do today will provide a little bit of that too. Locating yourself about where you are right now in that process. I want to add one more piece to this, of course, which is at some point that caterpillar has to burst out of the cocoon. So the cocoon is necessary. It's what we could call the void space, the lone wolf space. A lot of people are experiencing this and talking about this. At some point, you have to burst out in order to become the butterfly. You can't be a butterfly inside of the cocoon. So this is the other questions you could ponder is, what's my cocoon right now? What's my safeties? What has become my comfort zones that may be connected to 3D, maybe connected to relationships that you're in, lifestyles, careers, all kinds of different things, habits, body stuff, parts that are really what, as you know, those of you that follow us, and even those of you who have sessions with us, know that we bring this back to parts of ourselves. So what's interesting is that parts of us usually have a sense of our butterfly essence. They have a sense that we're so much more, and yet they've been conditioned to feel that we're not, that they're not, and so they kind of get stuck sometimes. So you may be on one end really experiencing more of your butterfly self, but parts of you are still caterpillars. Like it can be like that too. Or a part of you is in a caterpillar phase, and another part of you is in the cocoon, and another part of you is the butterfly. So this is not linear, right? It's not linear, it's phasical. And I think it's different for every part of us as well. So that was fun. I always like that. Do you want to add anything?
It just feels like a beautiful analogy to feel how it's programmed into our DNA. So we'll know when it's time to enter the cocoon. It's in our very essence to know when it's time to enter it. And if we're resisting entering the cocoon, there's kind of chaos that's increasing around us because it's time to be in the cocoon. And likewise, when it's time to exit the cocoon, there'll be a similar, what was once the perfect place isn't perfect anymore.
Yes.
And there can be cycles of entering in different phases in different areas.
Where the cocoon starts to feel limiting, tight, too small.
Right.
When it felt cozy, especially if you've given up a lot.
And which is like our physical birth, the womb of physical birth. It became this scary thing to enter, and then it became a familiar home. And then we became
we wanted out.
Ejected out of it.
Yeah.
Or maybe wanted out as well. So,
maybe parts of us didn't want out of the womb. I think that's true too.
Right. I love that analogy. It feels really in line with the very form of life itself. A seed goes into the earth and dies. And it brings forth much fruit. Yeshua said.
Yes.
But the seed had to be willing to go into the earth and to die. Something doesn't die, but for all intents and purposes, it looks and feels dead.
Oh, the seed to the plant is a beautiful metaphor too. Absolutely. And then the flower. Okay. I'll stop because I'll keep going. Anything that I think that we can locate or wrap our minds around in this process is really helpful. Yes.
Okay.
Where would you like to go?
Well, I thought I'd just share a little bit about and feel its relationship to these times that we're in right now. This month marks, and this year marks something so big happening on the disclosure process of awareness that we are not alone. I was given a t-shirt for Christmas with a star being in the phrase, "We are not alone." And this is actually quite new information for me. I was aware of crop circles and things of that nature, but never in UFOs and stuff, but never gave it much interest. But a little over a year ago, really came into a full awareness and gave my heart and some time to becoming aware of what's been happening in things like the secret space program, what we know about extraterrestrials on a big level. And this has been a wild thing. Even now, I struggle with a little self-consciousness to even speak of it because I haven't made it my thing to talk about that much. And then embracing it as a subject all unto itself, as something to get all psyched up about, hasn't been my thing either. But feeling it in a soulful heart, through a soulful heart lens, is to feel how we're becoming collectively now made aware of a big disclosure of star beings, all different types of races of beings, and all different planets that have habitable life on them. And in that awareness, and if you've never heard of that, I would be happy to share with you a couple of resources that you can find a concise introductory into this world to feel it for yourself. I think many of us on the call are already made aware of it. But we are going to have a big, huge wow moment collectively. We are in it right now. I'm still personally in it from a year and a half ago. And that wow is coming to terms with there's something so much more than we've been accustomed to. And all the 3D world that we participate in is largely unaware. And so there's this wow that's coming upon us now, about to thicken up in the days ahead. But where it fits for me is feeling this wow in line with the other wow of making contact with also what feels like an externalized thing, is accessing our guides. As we open our third eye and gain a relationship with star being aspects, our Metasoul aspects, our, I have a deep personal, currently my two favorite guides are Metatron as Archangel and Merlin as my personal unicorn. And I've also had a very, and still do, can dial in something really precious with Yeshua. And I can dial in Morgaine, and she's such a beloved guide of yours. I feel my third eye and my heart opened out so beautifully, but that's a similar opening awareness going out to guides, which is really in at the same time as it's out. And the other piece that I hold this in is kind of a triangular piece here. There's disclosure of the whole star being awareness coming on us. There's the opening out to our guides. But the other big anchor of awareness here, and this is an equally big wow, is the wow to our own parts of ourselves. So feeling all of those, we're in a brand new universe.
Kind of a triad.
I used the word trifecta. I don't know what that word even means.
Well, I think it means coming in threes, coming together.
And so
in a three.
Lately, my walking energy and presence is like, wow, I'm feeling a Metasoul connection with King Arthur from the Camelot timeline. I'm feeling this project I'm working on with my guides to make a journal delegation to reach out to connect with the demiurge. The demiurge is the Christian God, Jehovah or Yahweh. And these are all expansions inside because of the openness to my guides, and that I've been able to hold my parts, that they're not in a freak out about, oh my God, we're going to go face the demiurge. Like there could be a lot of warfare, or kickback, or blowback because of taking on such a project. But there's that walking awareness, there's the disclosure of our collective coming into a deep, wide, brand new place. And there's guides and my Metasoul all wrapped up in one. And I really believe that we will see physical contact. We will, even now, this technology that we're using a couple hundred years ago would have seemed very magical to our thinking. And I think in the same way, our voices are teleporting right now. In a matter of time, it will become normalized to us to teleport our physical bodies. And that still trips me out. And I still almost stumble over my words to say it, but I must admit that I believe that. And so if we are in those kinds of times, we're really being asked to open our hearts and our minds to what our guides are wanting to open out to us. Right now, I feel a very visceral ability to reach out to star being connection, to feel a Metasoul connection, in the same way that I reach out to feel a part of me. It's undeniably real. And in due time, it's going to cross dimensions, and it's going to involve more of our physical senses. So
that's a big metamorphosis.
That's a huge metamorphosis. And the more of us that let it into our awareness, we really quantumly serve the collective, because we're all going to be in such a huge holy shit factor. And this is maybe the holiest shit you could imagine. That if we've let it in, if we just let it into our hearts, it's in the collective. There's only one of us, after all. Even though we're many individuated pieces of consciousness, we are all one. So as we do, we serve the collective. And so that's a huge service to all.
And you went,
yeah.
You took us galactic. So obviously there's so much more that, Natalia, there's so much more that we could say about all of this. But this is our ongoing video series and Raphael's writings. And so I think we'll pause there.
Yeah.
And check in with I feel like a TV show, our delegates.
Yes.
Over there, Kalayna and Gabriel.
I like delegates. That's funny.
Who are sitting
our correspondents.
Who are sitting one floor down below in the other apartment.
Did you turn your video on?
Not yet. So I guess we'll share about how we've been experiencing this portal. It's interesting. January opened, this new year opened actually for all of us with brand new bursts of alchemy and projects. We've been writing about that a little bit on Facebook and also sharing our alchemy. We have our own blog. Yes, we have our own vlog. It just seems like it's a waterfall of creativity that keeps coming in, and it's all with the energy of service of love.
Right.
So that seems to create more of a flow, is what I could really feel in this portal, was that this particular portal of 111 and ongoingly with the supermoons sort of sandwiching us in this month and all of this energy that's going around, it feels like the highest timeline for anyone, especially those of you tuning into this today or ongoingly paying attention to us or on any sort of thread of any kind when it comes to healing internally. The highest timeline that's being offered to us is to continue to feel how, when, where we can serve love and in what forms. And those forms are many. And of course, the service of love timeline has to start here, it has to start inside, and then it overflows outward.
Right.
So it just feels like such a rich month, especially at the beginning of a new year. It's sort of, well, how do you really want to approach life? How do you want to approach love starting now? Because you get to start again
Mm-hmm.
and really focus on that higher timeline that you want to be on. So that's what I feel personally invited to, and keep extending that invitation as well to others, because it's so powerful and it feels so palpable. And the awakenings are riper now too. I even had my own experience with that last weekend. A big shift with my gatekeeper, which we have lots of writing on the gatekeepers. There's a really great article on the website if you want to find out more about them. But my own gatekeeper had a big shift last weekend, suddenly remembering that she can soar with the angels. And that was a really big deal. And that's true for anybody. That's true for all of our gatekeepers, that is where they get to go and where we get to go with them. So it's very rich. And so she still has lots of things. I'm working with her, but of course the edges then become easier to work. If she has access to that, then that's great. That creates a bigger container for the more...
We'll talk about the butterfly.
The deeper pains. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Yeah, she essentially became a butterfly last weekend.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Starting to flex her wings a bit. And so it's been an intense month so far. It's only halfway over, but in different ways. But it's been amazing too to feel that wave, like we're riding that wave, the in-breath and out-breath of, okay, I feel a lot of inspiration today and I don't really know what to do with it. And then suddenly there's a whole bunch of things that you can do with it. And for some people where they're at, I feel this month is more of an alchemical shifting the ground of your life. It is always shifting the ground of your life, but letting things go, letting relationships go that don't resonate, letting go of a job that doesn't resonate, and that sort of thing is all a ever ripening ground right now. And that's what really births the deeper alchemy, the higher timeline alchemy of projects, ongoing projects to serve love. Because that is service of love to yourself, making sure that your cocoon, if that's the phase you're in, that your cocoon is safe, that you are cocooning into an environment that is nourishing, where you will be fed like an embryo in a fetus. Like we could use that analogy as well. You're a baby.
Good point.
You know, your sacred human self is in this gestation period. And to feel it that way is powerful as well. So you're in this cocoon or you're in this womb. These are all very beautiful feminine analogies, the seed, the cocoon, and the womb. To really, where is your nourishment coming from in this womb, so that you can burst out of it as the sacred human self, that the primary focus is service of love. So that's what I think I'm supposed to share right now. That's interesting. I didn't know what was going to come out just now, so that was great. But it's just all very exciting to, of course, our collaboration is very touching as well, because we haven't, in all of our incarnations as a couple.
Right. This is the first time we've actually done anything like this together. So, you know, it's been a huge process for us, a new birthing for us together. It's kind of like we were cocooning together in our own usness, and then have been coming out and sort of going out with our project around the 7 key areas of life and our video project. And so that's been a new birthing for us, which I think for me has also been I've been sick the last couple of days. I also remember having some kind of funkiness during the supermoon, you know, on the January 1st. So there's definitely something that comes up inside me in these portals and these supermoons, all these energies that come up, that it's just this new arising bigness and possibilities. And then I could feel parts that might have some reaction to that. And it's also a cleansing. There's something that's what I've also felt as well, is that whenever something is a step up, you could feel the energy ramp up a bit and the possibilities open up. That's releasing some things inside of myself that are still hooking in, whether it's old 3D stuff that's in my physical body that needs to be released. I could feel a lot in my 6th the last couple of days around some sinus congestion. So it felt like there's some things wanting to get downloaded and upgraded in my 6th. And so that seems to be flushing out some old energies and maybe some fears possibly, but it's always been hard to feel the last couple of days. I've just been needed to go in bed and just to be with it as much as I can, and in a different way. I was telling you yesterday around this feeling of being a witness to what I'm moving to as opposed to being the sickness. I think so many times we can just fuse to ourselves being sick, and it just becomes this bleh. And then I was listening to Jelelle's day 10, I think it was, about, this sort of the ascension symptoms, and just being inquisitive, feeling where this might be coming from, what are some possibilities. And so that brings the whole sickness thing to a much different consciousness around what's going on with me. What am I feeling? Because this is not me. I haven't been sick like this in a while. I've had, sicknesses and illnesses, and they've always had to do with some big change that's going on in my life. So I know we did an emotional area of life, and I did open up a little bit more vulnerably about my process with my family, and I could feel my 3D self, Chris, involved in that. And so maybe there was a little bit of I was quite vulnerable to talk about all these things, and being more public about my process. It feels like it's flushing out some old things. So it's preparing myself to be more outed. So I think that maybe there's a bit of, I think we need to just go inside for a couple of days and feel through this and be with that. So there's multiple layers. I feel galactic things wanting to shift and change, old 3D kind of relationships to what's coming up next, any fears that need to be placed. I'm feeling a new connection to Lancelot. I've got other guides that are popping in that have had like a Buddhist Greek angelic presence to them named Aris, short for Aristotle. So I'm just starting to connect with that. So there's my team is starting to form a bit broader and wider, and with a different energetic than has in the past. It's always been a bit more sort of suffering Shadowland type things. And since my gatekeeper's come out of the Shadowlands and I've been connecting with him more, there's been a more rising, a bit more connection to a expanded consciousness and a leadership inside myself. And so that feels like there's a push-pull inside myself around that. So I can feel that inside myself around this detox and this cold. So it's been a lot, and it's been really good. I've been feeling like, with Raphael talking about the demiurge, I was doing some more reading on what's called Wetiko, which I learned about not too long ago from an author named Paul Levy. Raphael had brought this up. And Wetiko is a more Native American concept about, it's kind of like a psychic virus or an emotional virus that goes on into the collective. And so there's something that really pinged in me around that. So I could feel something inside myself. When Raphael was talking about the demiurge, I felt my own connection to something inside myself, curious about what that is. So I've been just taking some steps, opening myself up to these possible processes. So it's something that's all internal, that's mine, but it's also collective at the same time.
It can't help but be collective. Even as Raphael was making a point about that, right. Anything that we work individually, we can always take it to a more universal level. Right.
And in that collectiveness, I think there's some things that come in from the collective around that. It's like, oh, you don't want to mess with that. You don't want to go touching that stuff. So I could feel that maybe there's some things, even my gatekeeper could be a bit on edge a little bit about some of these things. So that's why it's just taking negotiated steps. And so I'm also facilitating somebody right now, which feels really good. That's another piece of my leadership, and letting in this new arising timeline that wants to come in. We have desires to move to Europe and to England, and wow. And I could feel some old Mexico energies wanting to flesh out of my system and get ready, prepared for more.
That's kind of the thing. Maybe that's an ongoing theme right now. I can feel that, where there's just keep your eyes on the more. That's keep your heart on the more. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't want to say on the prize. I wanted to kind of take it a different direction there, but it still works. What is the more? What is the more that you're longing for inside of you? And it could be parts of you that are wanting it, sure, but that's still you. So still to feel the desires and let yourself bake in them. What do you really want? And what have you been settling for? That isn't necessarily what you really want, or what parts of you really want. So
yeah.
And really wanting, it's the wanting of your leadership that ends up calling in the Metasoul pieces. Okay, I'm ready for you now. Right. I'm ready to feel where the wounded roots of not having this. And I feel the similar thing for me happening. more Metasoul pieces coming in around being a spiritual teacher in another timeline.
Right.
And the pros and cons of that. It feels like there were some pretty intense things that happened around that. And so, but yeah, so that's good, I think.